Yo, what up, YouTube? Another one for me journal update. Today's the 21st of January, 26, so we're now in the new year. A bit late with me update. We were actually supposed to do one last week, and to be honest, I hadn't had a chance. A lot has gone on as well. So before I get into last week, I'm just going to say I feel a little bit more optimistic today. But I don't want to jump the gun because I've still got a long way to go. But yeah, basically, going back to last week, I had a bit of a difficult week in general last week. I've, how do I explain? So I've been, as you know, if you've been watching me journal stuff, that's public anyway. Come next month, I'll have done a year not using cannabis. So it's been a rocky journey up and down, but I've, for the first time in my life, I've successfully done a year this time next month of not using cannabis. Still smoking cigs, far too heavily. As you know, I've been trying to stop that as well, and I'm gonna stop that as well because it's the most pointless addiction ever, basically. And I'd already overcome the difficult part when I slipped up with it. So anyway, going back to what we were meaning last week, so I've been taking on more than what I can chew as far as different courses and things that I've been attending. So I've been doing my Horizons stuff. I've been doing a stopping smoking thing. I'd also started an adult learning thing that I've been doing. And what it were is through the adult learning thing, I'd taken on like loads of different courses. Like I say, too much really for me to handle. And I didn't realise until I went through last week that I think I've been running on autopilot a little bit when it comes to my family court situation. You know, I've just been kind of like, what's the word? I've been taking on so much, I think, to occupy my mind. But then, because my court case is drawing closer, or my second hearing of my court case is drawing closer, I had what is it? SIA badge thing that I was doing. And I actually, I'm gutted because I really want an SIA badge and I want the CSCS card and all that stuff. Anyway, I'd like previously booked it and then didn't really hear anything. And then all of a sudden I got a text message saying, can I attend such and such a place in Scarborough on such and such a day? And I kind of knew it weren't going to be a one-day thing, you know. But anyway, I didn't elaborate any information on it. And when I was heading to it, I remember driving through there thinking, oh, I hope I'm not here all day. Because I just had a lot of pressure at the time. And anyway, I got there and it turned out it were all day. And the first day was like a first aid thing. Now, I've done a first aid course in the past, so quite a bit of it I knew what to expect. And then there were other parts that has totally changed over the years. In fact, a lot of it totally changed over the years because last time I did one was probably like more than 15 years ago. So like, anyway, long story short, it went on all day long, and then you did a test at the end, and then after that is when the SIA stuff would have started. And anyway, whilst I was there on the first aid day, they gave me a timetable that would have basically been every single day of the week for the next 3 weeks, and that would have left me with like a week until I'm doing my court hearing basically, and it just caused me to like mentally shut down kind of thing. And basically I needed a couple of days of space at home, just having silence. So long story short, I sent him a message in the morning saying, look, because I mentioned on the course, I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do all these days because I had other things planned as well, like other courses that I were going to and things like that. And I mentioned it on the day that I was there. And the woman who were doing the first aid course, I think she was called Becky or something, I didn't find her very understanding of it. But I didn't really go into my court stuff. I did mention, though, that I'm doing family court as well, but I didn't go into details of it, and I just didn't find her very understanding, really. The fella that were there, he wasn't in the room when I brought that up, but I went and spoke to him. He seemed a bit more understanding of it. But there was no way that I could space it out, basically. It was like, you either do it or you don't, sort of thing. So I ended up sort of sodding it off. And it, in turn, like I say, I had a bit of a mental crash where I just needed some space. In turn, it stopped me from attending my other courses that week. I just weren't able to cope with it all at that moment. And that's when I realised I think I'd been on autopilot a little bit. So anyway, I spent that week just getting myself back together, emotionally and things, because a lot of pressure basically all just sort of caved into me at once. I didn't break down crying or all that, but I felt like I'd just gotten out of a car crash or something, basically. And so anyway, I spoke to all my other people from my other courses, and they were a lot more understanding. And anyway, so then this week's come by. After I'd totally buggered up my entire week last week, and I've got a course I'm on all day tomorrow, and then I've got a shorter course the day after, which is my smoking course. The course that I'm on all day tomorrow is a bit of a combination. So I've got my adult learning thing in the morning, and then I've got my Horizon stuff in the afternoon. But it's all in the same building, so I'm going to be there all day, basically. I think I'm setting off about 9:30 in the morning, and I'll be getting home at about 4:30, 5:30 or something. And then basically, what did I want to mention? Oh yeah, the things that making me. Oh, that's something. Last week I also had my Kafkas visit, my home visit from Kafkas, and that were before I had my little escapade or whatever you could call it, and I think that added to my pressure actually, but the woman that came out to visit me were quite nice, I didn't mind, basically, if that makes sense. I want to get my family court stuff going, so I just want to see my little girl, basically, and as long as she's okay, I'm okay, So long story short, when the Kafkas lady had visited, excuse me, I'd give, basically she'd mentioned something with me drug testing, because when I went into court, I took a volunteered drug test that I'd done through Horizons. So like it wasn't done through the court. I think they were going to test us through the court anyway. And I kind of wish that they would test both of us, but obviously I'm funding the court thing, so I don't have legal aid, so basically knowing that I'm clean, you know, I just thought, I'll do that as a contribution. I'll take my drug test in, basically, along with a support letter that one of the staff had written me, basically. And I think I mentioned in an earlier video, the court would just kind of like, oh, well, if you're clean, then there's no point in testing my ex-partner when, I mean, my opinion, because I've got to try and keep everything not he said, she said, but I don't see how that works, because, like I say, there's only so much I can say, but just because I'm clean doesn't mean that my ex-partner's going to be clean, basically. But anyway, that's how they took it. And also, if, say, for example, if they were going to give my ex-partner a test, I don't see why legal aid couldn't cover that, because I know what the outcome of the test would be. And basically, as far as I'm concerned, my ex-partner has told in truths to get the legal aid, if that makes sense. When, my opinion again, obviously, I tried to get legal aid because when I was in a relationship, I didn't realise I was being like emotionally abused and stuff. Well, I did, but I didn't realise it was something that you could get legal aid for. So it was something that I just took on the chin when I were in the relationship, and I didn't realise you needed to keep that stuff for evidence. So keep that stuff for evidence if you're in my situation there. So anyone that deals with, for example, narcissists, because that's my opinion on this, absolutely everything. All the names you're getting called, all that stuff, blah, 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 reactive abuse is another one. You can actually get legal aid for that if you know what you're doing. Now, when I did try to get legal aid, I found it very back and forth. I don't know if that's because I'm the father or what, but one place was saying go here, next place was going back to them, blah, blah, blah. Lots of form stuff. And if you're anything like me, that's my weak point, And in the end, I was just like, heck with it. I'll just pay the fees, and go to court that way, which I've done. And so basically, the reason why I'm feeling more optimistic is, so this lady that came from Kafkas, she asked me that about, my drug situation, basically. And I explained to her, I said, well, I'd taken a drug test in a car, because she asked for proof of it. And I said, well, I'd taken one in a car in the first hearing, and I'd had it sent directly to the judge, basically, from Horizons had forwarded everything. Anyway, she wanted proof of it, so I just gave her the fella who runs Horizons number. Call him and speak to him, basically. And whilst I was at that, I gave her the person who runs the group that I'm in, their number, and I also gave the adult learning person's number, to show that I was doing that whilst I was at it. And she asked, is there any more numbers that you'd like to give? And basically, she'd already asked me. She'd asked me about my mum. I think what it were is my mum had witnessed some of the stuff that I've witnessed in the relationship, and also stuff towards my daughter, like how she's been treated and things like that. And she asked me that, something about it, and I just said, look, you want to speak to my mum, basically, about that, because she's the witness. I'm telling you what I've witnessed, basically, and not only witnessed, but you know, like situation basically is what I mean by witness. Like, without going into details, I didn't feel that my daughter was being cared for properly, basically, and she was being placed into dangerous situations by my ex-partner. So, you know, and I'm not the only one that's witnessed it, you know. So I said, you know, it's best speaking to my mum as well. So I'd given her my mum's number. And then because my sister is family, she hadn't really witnessed so much. But, you know, like she knows from an outsider's perspective what I'm like as a dad, basically, and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So I'd given her my sister's number, you know, to speak to as well. So anyway, what is it? I got a message. I got a phone call from Horizons probably 2 or 3 days ago, explaining to me that Kafkas had been in touch, basically, and they said to me, "Oh, we probably should have spoke to you first, but you know, like, you know, they've been in touch." But I'm actually glad that they didn't speak to me first, if that makes sense, because I know what, you know, I've just been honest throughout this whole period, basically, about what's gone on, basically. So I'm glad that they didn't, you know, and so you know, they gave me a rundown of what they not everything that they'd said, but they just gave me an overview of what had been asked and said, you know, about the drug test, and they mentioned that they said, you know, they thought I'm a nice lad and things like that, and they've been attending me thing. And they even offered, which I'm doing tomorrow, they even offered me another drug test, and I said, yeah, won't hurt, because I know I'm clean, do you know what I mean? So, so I'm like, yeah, let's do it, you know. So tomorrow I'm having another drug test. And then basically, another number I told them to ring when we stopping smoking lady. Now, like I say, I haven't managed actually, but I have done that week that I'd done. So she'll probably, I mean, she hasn't spoke to me yet, but she'll mention that, I would have thought. And she'll mention that I've buggered up, because I have buggered up with smoking. But I've been honest, you know, and at least that will show that, you know, I'm being honest with everyone, because I can't lie, basically. I ain't got the memory for it, if that makes sense. You know, anyone that basically says they're not a liar, I once got told when I was young they're the biggest liars of all. So I try to avoid saying that. I just say I don't have the memory to lie, because I don't, basically. You know, because sure, I've lied in my lifetime, you know, particularly when I was a kid. But like, I haven't had a need to lie when it comes to my situation with my child, because my child's my number one. So, you know, she matters to me more than I matter to me, if that makes sense, you know. And I'm genuinely concerned for her safety and well-being in a household. Now, that being said, I'm not going for full custody. I'm going for access, because I've been parentally alienated because of my concerns, if that makes sense, which is wrong. It's not only wrong on my behalf, but it's wrong on my daughter's behalf. And funnily enough, I've seen someone put a video on TikTok today that said the way to tell a bad mum is if they do exactly that. And voila. So, yeah, basically. Anyway, so long story short, Kafkas have been in touch with the people whose numbers I've provided. And so I'm feeling more optimistic, basically. Now, there are certain things where I still feel I'm behind when it comes to this particular case, you know, but I'm feeling optimistic in the sense that I think that the courts can, before today, I think the courts could see exactly what the situation were on the first hearing, to be honest with you. So, touch wood. hopefully I'll be able to see my daughter soon. So that's a step in the right direction. And then it's up to my ex to sort her act out as far as I'm concerned, because I'll play Mr. Nice, by all means, and I've been doing that throughout the whole time we was in a relationship and first year of being separated. And like I say, it's my concerns that got me into the family court situation. So let's just see what happens. And like I say, I've only gone for access, but she has to really change her ways now, basically, because if it all continues the way it's been going, then I will go further. So basically, like I say, there's only so much I can really say because of it being an ongoing case. But there's been dangerous people around my daughter, generally not looked after and not fed properly and things, and you name it, everything you can imagine on a Jeremy Kyle show has happened, basically. So let's see what the future brings. Obviously, I've now got to rebuild a relationship with my little girl, which is exactly why my ex has done what she's done, to break our bond. But like I say, bad mums, they're a cancer on this world. And peace and one love, YouTube, and hopefully things will look up in the near future, and I'm hoping to see my little girl soon. So see you all soon. This is my journal update for all of last week, really. So peace.